What's up, Steve Austin fans? This is producer Sean G here, back at you with something a little different this week. We've got the launch of a brand new podcast series from MotorTrend called InEVitable, and it's hosted by two of MotorTrend's best, head of editorial Ed Lowe and senior features editor Johnny Lieberman. And it's a brand new content series all about the future of mobility, the future of the car, where are we going, and how will we get there. They have an amazing list of guests set up for their first season, from this first episode, which features actor, comedian, beatboxer Reggie Watts. They'll also have actor Sung Kang from the Fast and the Furious franchise, actor James Marsden, you may know him as Cyclops from the X-Men franchise, or Teddy from Westworld, and they have the godfather of the environmental movement himself, Ed Begley Jr. I know Steve Austin is a huge car guy. He's restoring his classic Camaro now, and I'm sure he's out there riding his Kawasaki somewhere. So we figured you guys would also enjoy. So please enjoy the very first episode of InEVitable from MotorTrend. Welcome to InEVitable, a podcast by MotorTrend.
Hi there, this is InEVitable. This is MotorTrend's new podcast where we talk about EVs, cars without steering wheels, our hydrogen future, and everything else that's coming down the road. In other words, where are we going and how are we going to get there? We have an incredible show for you today with a Mr. Reggie Watts, really good guest. Before then, I am joined by Mr. MotorTrend himself, the lowest of the low, Ed Lowe. How you doing, Ed?
I'm fine. Thank you for having me on my own podcast, Johnny. It's great to be here.
It is good to be here.
It is good to be here. And welcome, everybody, to InEVitable. This is, as Johnny mentioned, on the future of mobility. Johnny would prefer I say the future of the car.
We should have just called it the future of the car. I think InEVitable is a little cornball, but that's just me.
It's a great name because this is the InEVitable podcast from MotorTrend. EVs, electrification, it's all inevitable. And that's what we're talking about.
And I think, actually, this is a really good year for us to be starting this podcast, though, because our big awards are of the year awards. This is really what MotorTrend is known for. If you watch the Super Bowl, you know we give out Truck of the Year, Car of the Year. And guess what? Truck of the Year and Car of the Year this year are EVs.
For the first time in our history, MotorTrend's been giving out Car of the Year since 1949. Both Car and Truck of the Year are EVs.
And really, SUV of the Year is also an EV.
Right.
The Genesis GV70 won our SUV of the Year as a gasoline-powered car. And then they didn't tell us, and they announced they have an electric version.
Months later at the Guangzhou China Auto Show, they announced an EV version of that vehicle. It could have been the trifecta, but no, instead it is really Car and Truck of the Year. Car of the Year, the Lucid Air, and Truck of the Year, the Rivian R1T.
Yeah.
So, watershed year from MotorTrend in terms of the awards we give, but also really just in terms of interest. As you know, Johnny's been around MotorTrend since
2010, July 2010.
2010, which is 2 years actually. We gave out our first Car of the Year to an electric car company in the fall of 2012.
Mm-hmm.
That was Tesla Model S.
Mm-hmm. And you and I were both in the room?
In the room in New York City with Elon.
Oh, I meant when we voted, but we're also there with Elon. Yeah,
we were both on the panel.
With Elon.
Yes, we were both on the panel of one of the 11 judges that voted Tesla Model S Car of the Year. We've subsequently given the award to another electric vehicle manufacturer, General Motors.
Yeah, for the Chevy Volt. Bolt. Sorry, they got to work on that name. Chevy Bolt, not the Volt. We also gave it to the Volt.
Yes, we gave it to Chevy Volt and Bolt.
Yeah.
But yes, this is the third electric car, Lucid Air, our Car of the Year, electrified. And then, again, Rivian, big news. But what I was saying is we've seen a tremendous amount of interest in electric vehicles. Really, up until honestly, 18 months or so ago, the only stories that would really get a lot of traffic on our website, on motortrend.com, would be Tesla stories. Specifically Tesla product launches. We've been lucky enough to land a bunch of exclusives. We've got exclusive range tests, Cybertruck, Model 3, when we did the long range Model S. And every one of those, huge traffic numbers. Every other EV, not a lot of interest. For some reason, this year has been a watershed year. We're going to finish out. We finished out, 20 2020 with 7 of our top 20 stories electric vehicles.
Wow.
So
really?
Including Lucid was one of them. We did a Lucid. I think your exclusive drive of the Lucid Air.
That was 21, but yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And the Rivian.
I mean, the Rivian. We drove
the Trans-America Trail.
700 miles off-road electrically, which is super cool.
And the other manufacturer, Ford F-150 Lightning.
Yeah, that's
the story
huge.
that we had on that massive story. Of course, that's the number one selling F-150's number one selling vehicle in America. So that makes a lot of sense. A lot of interest there. Anyways, that's why we're here. We're talking about the inevitable. Inevitable isn't only about electric vehicles, but that's really our starting point.
Because that's what we have in front of us now. And like, look, we've been told that cars are all going to be electric for a while now. Well, it's looking that way, and there's a number of reasons why. We've also been told that cars are going to drive themselves, and that seems to be much, much more difficult than electrifying a vehicle. But I was reading something interesting last night. In 2010, when I started at MotorTrend, the cost per kilowatt hour of battery was $1,200. In 2021, $132, and they're predicting by 2024 it'll get to the magical $100 per kilowatt hour. And when that happens, it's just cheaper. Just all in, it's cheaper to build an electric Corolla than it is to make a gasoline-powered Corolla. Once you hit that $100 per kilowatt hour, and then Farley at Ford was saying they think by 2030 it gets down to $80 per kilowatt hour, which means that cars will be even cheaper to build in the future than they are now, which is kind of crazy if you think about it. But this is this watershed moment, the inevitable, to put it in the terminology of the show. Because it just, at the end of the day, remember, car companies, they want to print cash, right? They want to make money. And when it's more profitable to build an EV than it is to build a gas car, forget about the political pressures, the green pressure, any kind of other consideration. It's just straight capitalism, dollars and cents. You want to have electric vehicles because it's cheaper.
Right. But
more profitable.
Yes, but you touch on a great point, which is this isn't. MotorTrend did some research. We tend to do these studies or surveys every now and then, and we actually polled our potential car consumers. We worked with a third party independent research firm, asking car shoppers what are they interested in. The subset of the questions was on EVs, and one of the key drivers, I think 58% of the people we polled said that climate change, environmental reasons were fueling their decisions to examine an electric vehicle. All that's fine and good, but to what you just said, it actually doesn't matter, because if you don't believe in climate change, if you don't believe it's real, it is real. But if you don't believe it's irrelevant.
It doesn't matter
because companies have already taken a position and governments are taking a position on it. Yeah. So again, all this is more fuel to why we feel like this whole shift that we're going through right now is inevitable, and why we're also really looking forward to talking to our guest, Reggie Watts, who I did a bunch of research on. Yeah. And it turns out he is, I think, a massive, massive car guy, hiding in plain sight on James Corden's show. Yeah,
as the band leader. But he's also not only a car guy, he's like a futurist.
Yes.
Yeah, he's an incredible guy. I can't wait to talk to him. But he's also kind of where I'm finding myself these days. I don't know if you find yourself this way based on the cars you own, but I got one foot in both worlds. I recently did a thing at the Peterson Museum for this for Omaze, where I was talking about the future of EVs. But I'm looking at the cars I own. I don't own an EV. I like I have an old, like you, I have an old gas guzzling in a sense Porsche. And it's so I want to get his take on what it's like to love cars, but also see the future.
Yes.
And do you find? Let me ask you that though, Ed. Do you find yourself struggling? You have, just so everyone out there knows, you have a 1987 Land Cruiser diesel from Canada, and you have a 87 Porsche 930 turbo. But you're also this big EV advocate. How do you reconcile this within yourself?
Well, yeah. So, look, the wife and I decided that the next car will be an EV. I've told her, and it's going to be her car. We're going to have to get rid of. She has an Audi. All our cars are white. They're all turbocharged. Hers is an A3. Yeah, this is funny. I think the only thing we're missing is an all-wheel drive white car, because we have sorry. The Land Cruiser is four-wheel drive. Yeah, turbo diesel. The Porsche is obviously rear drive turbo, and her Audi is front drive turbo. So we're missing a mid-engine. I think that's what I ended up with. But yeah, we got a kid now. We need probably a larger SUV. Honestly, the Land Cruiser and the Porsche are the personal cars that don't get driven a whole ton. The Land Cruiser's for surfing. The Porsche is when I have time for it, and then I have a work car.
And also, I was going to say, they're both appreciating assets at this point.
Yes.
In time. So
yes. So I don't want the kid
that's
to
a college fund.
Exactly, 100%. College will either be free or $2 million, depending on.
I don't know what they told you when Evan was Ed's son. I probably shouldn't say his name, but when he was born, when my son Richard was born, they told us it'll be $700,000 for a 4-year school.
Yes,
that's what our financial planner told us.
I'm banking that President. This is going to get me in trouble. Sasha Obama will make college free at that point. So when my kid goes to school,
I mean, or they'll become plumbers. It's a smart thing to do,
right? But to your point, yes, EVs are definitely on the personal agenda because we just have to. We live in an area that's charging's not an issue. It makes a lot of sense. All that.
And you're a homeowner.
And I'm a homeowner,
you
yes.
could charge at your house because people that live in apartments.
Slightly
that's
difficult.
tricky. Yeah. And we'll get to all that on the show because I'm finding myself I have a little Ford Fiesta ST that blew up the other day. Just like I think the engine's toast, and they quoted me 60% of the value of the car to fix it. So it's probably not going to happen. And my wife is like, let's get an EV. And for me though, like the one that, what I want is like, I want an electric G-Wagon at a slightly lower price. So maybe like when Rivian does make a smaller 2-row type SUV, I want that. But I'm also like, should I buy one last gas car? Should I buy the Jeep 392? And
or the Cadillac CT.
The CT5V Blackwing. Yeah, I don't know if I can quite afford that, but because
392. I mean, come on.
Was it 75? I could kind of swing it, but also that's going to hold its value, right? So you're spending $75,000, but when you go to sell it, that's you're getting at least that back.
It's funny because the older I get, the more buying like a Viper. Or
yes,
or
me too. First gen Viper.
Yeah, actually, any of them, like an ACR.
Or
a Corvette, a pre-C8 Corvette, like just something big with a huge V8 manual, just to have around when everything becomes quiet and smooth and electrified.
Right. No, and that's a great question. Like, do you want both? And I don't know what I'm going to buy. We have a list of 10. My wife crossed about 4 of them off, so I'm not getting a GT3. For those of you sitting at home wondering, she said no to that, but she did not cross the Jeep off the list. So we might do that. But we also have some EVs on there. But yeah, it's a really strange point in time right now because not only are EVs getting better, but like gasoline powered cars are still getting better.
Oh yeah.
That Jeep 392 in my opinion is the best SUV I've ever driven, unless you think of the Rivian truck as an SUV, even though it's a pickup truck. We know that the eventual R1S will be the same thing. Like, boy, that kind of puts everything on the trailer,
Right.
And it's let's talk about that. Let's talk about why the Rivian and the Lucid took home our top prizes.
You can tee up the Lucid Air. You spent a ton of time with them.
Yeah. I had a really interesting experience. So I was the first, to my knowledge, the first non-Lucid employee to drive it. And so I spent a day on Angeles Crest with Peter Rawlinson, who's the CEO and the CTO, the Chief Technical Officer. And
former chief engineer of Tesla Model S.
Former chief engineer
when it won
of Lotus.
Yes.
And I didn't really realize that at the time, but he showed up wearing racing booties. He was wearing fireproof shoes. And I was kind of like, all right, dude, that's a little much. And then, we drove up Angeles Crest, a road that I live right near it. I drive it at least once a week. We were flying, and he was keeping up with me. He'd never driven the road before, so the dude can drive. And he was telling me his dream for the Lucid Air was, and pardon the pun, but he wanted an S-Class in terms of luxury, and he wanted a Lotus in terms of handling, and he wanted the most efficient, high-performance EV possible. Don't think he quite got there in terms of Lotus-like handling, but man, if I told you you're driving a GTR, you'd be like, this is like the new Nissan GTR. It's awesome.
Yeah, because it's hard to get Lotus handling in a vehicle that's going to weigh
it's 5,000 pounds. But then the next day, we met at the Lucid's dealership, showroom, whatever you call it, in Beverly Hills.
Yep.
We drove, and they didn't plan this. They claimed they didn't plan this, but we drove a 409-mile route up to San Francisco The EPA range for the Tesla Model S long range, 405. So we beat that right out of the gate. First time anyone besides Lucid ever driven one. I beat that. And then we left San Francisco, drove south to their headquarters near San Jose in Newark, California.
Yep.
Another 36 miles. I wasn't trying to hypermile. My car still had 30 miles of range showing. His had 72 because he was like accelerating slowly and not being a jackass like I was. And it was mind blowing. You know what I mean?
This was all before they came out with the EPA.
This was before the EPA stuff. So he had told me privately that he was looking at 517 miles of range. EPA gave him 520.
Yeah.
So
that's one. When we talk about our car, truck, SUV of the year awards, we have 6 criteria. Mm-hmm. We have value, safety, efficiency, engineering, design, and then performance of intent and function, how well the vehicle does its job. So John just unpacked a ton of it right there. Obviously, engineering excellence is amazing. Efficiency, I mean, it is the most efficient vehicle that you can buy.
Period.
Today.
In history.
In history.
Yeah. And by the way, the one I drove was 930 horsepower, and there's one that's slightly less efficient that makes 1,111 horsepower.
Right. So then you talk about, well, how does it do its job as an electric car? I think we just covered off. It does it quite well. It is incredibly fast. I think the fastest version, 0 to 60 in like 2.4 seconds.
We haven't even tested it. No, we've only tested. By the way, we haven't tested a Dream Edition. We've only tested the Grand Touring.
Right. So
the Grand Touring, which is only 800 horsepower, you know what I mean, is 2.4. Like God knows what the like 1,000, the 4 sticks version will do. And they have a 3-motor version coming. I mean, it's just nuts.
Right. So the answers I think are pretty clear. And by the way, it was a big win. The car we had, if we're candid, wasn't perfect.
It was early. Malfunctioning. Actually.
It had some glitches, mostly to the infotainment system. Yep. We couldn't access the awesome.
And to be fair, when
system.
I drove it, the infotainment system was down for the count. I mean, it was not. And they said, yeah, and they look, they were candid. They're like, you know how our radio works, right? I'm like, yeah. They're like, we have a radio. I'm like, okay, okay, I get that.
But it is still it is a historic achievement, and it's a very deserving winner. It is the first time MotorTrend's ever given Car of the Year award to a vehicle for their very first product.
Yeah, I would asterisk that because the Model S, yes, it was their second product, but that Roadster had nothing to do with anything.
That still was, technically,
okay. But yeah. But same chief engineer.
And I think, look, people can be. I was a little skeptical until I drove it and then went on the same deep dive on the technology that you had up at the headquarters.
We should actually talk about that. So their headquarters is like if Willy Wonka had a car company, It would kind of be like this place.
Right. But what I was saying is, before going there, I was like, Peter Rawlinson, yes, he was chief engineer, but this could be like, is this just Model S? Version 2.0.
With a different skin.
Right. Yeah. And at first glance, you might say, well, they made it a little more efficient. It's the same package. It's a 5-seat luxury sedan,
Yeah, nicer.
But when you see how they did it and what they did, it is absolutely mind-blowing. I mean, they'll walk you through and they'll show you, like, this is the original Tesla Model S motor package, and it's this big, and it's impressive, and it's gotten that company this far. Oh, and then they'll show you the Model 3 and the Model Y, that motor and inverter package, and it's like,
it's whatever. A little smaller, a little less powerful, a little smaller,
more efficient, and they actually were like, credit to them, the being able to produce this and put it into serial production. This is a big deal. It's a phenomenal unit. And then they show you the one in the air, in the air, and it is in the Dream, and it is
in the air.
In the air, and it is tiny. I mean, the party trick is they pull up. They can pull it out of a 22-inch standard rollerboard.
Yeah,
a suitcase that you take on a plane.
What they're
and that includes the motor,
transmission, and the inverter. Yeah, it's crazy
all together, and it's 300% more powerful.
295. Yeah,
than whatever Tesla has.
Yep.
And then you go and they can do the same party trick with the batteries. Everything is more efficient. It's smaller,
the one I tell people about is the headlights. Like they have 5 people with PhDs working on headlights, and your car, if you're listening, you have 2 bulbs that your headlights. They have 9,000 little matrix LEDs that like work like an insect's eyes, and because it's like as thin as I don't know, it's about 2 inches thick or even smaller maybe. It makes the frunk that much bigger.
Right.
So if you look at like a Mercedes S-Class headlight, it's 18 inches deep. This is maybe 2 inches deep, so you get that much more storage space up front, and it uses that much less electricity, making it more efficient, and they're more aerodynamic than any other car.
And on. The fact that it's all LEDs, and it's basically just the light and then some software. Here's the thing. If you want to get the highest rating according to the Insurance Institute of Highway Safety, the IHS, you need smart headlights. You need headlights that are super bright, cast a lot of clarity on the road ahead, but also will turn around corners.
Right.
Lucid's found a way to do it through software. So they don't actually have a physical motor.
There's no motor.
There's no motor. There's nothing that moves the headlights.
Just turn on lights that point left as you turn the steering wheel left. Because they're miniaturized.
Exactly. It's totally bizarre.
Yeah, it's totally cool. And then the Rivian we should talk about. You know, we obviously did this stunt, for lack of a much more elegant term, where we drove 7,700 miles across America on the Transamerica Trail, all electric, charged them up every night.
All off-road, or almost all off-road.
Yeah, basically off-road. And that vehicle, it's not as efficient, but it's revolutionary.
4 motors.
Yeah.
First electric vehicle out there on the road that has a motor at each wheel.
Yeah, and that was, to me, was game-changing. And if I can quote Frank Marcus here, he's our technical director at MotorTrend. He said it best, and you guys can go watch this video.
Yes.
He said that what you realize after off-roading in the Rivian is that, having low gears, a transfer case, and all that stuff, it's a Band-Aid on a terrible powertrain. Internal combustion is horrible for off-road because what you want is not to go that quickly, and you want massive torque. Well, guess what? EVs, as we know, they make their peak torque before they even start spinning. So in a really powerful, we brought the Ram TRX along as a support vehicle, and in that it makes a ton of torque, but you got to goose the motor. So suddenly you're flooring it, then slamming on the brake, then flooring it to get over a rock, then slamming on the brake. The Rivian just elegantly glided over these obstacles. And I always say, Sean Holman, who's our he's our 4-wheel expert at the company, let's just say, and I was texting him because he drove the Wave after me. I'm like, dude, this is going to blow your mind. You're not going to believe this. And he was so skeptical. Even Sean was like, yeah, that's really good.
Yeah. Yeah. It's as a clean sheet design, you really can't do better in terms of for the mission at hand of off-roading.
Yeah.
Battery, some software, a motor at each wheel.
Really smart suspension.
Really smart, yes.
Yeah. Air suspension with diagonally linked dampers, hydraulic dampers.
From McLaren.
Same supplier as McLaren, but yeah, super cool. But what I loved was, because the Wave I was on, we started in Georgia, and Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, Mississippi, Arkansas, deep, deep south. And people would see it, and it's a different looking truck, to put it politely. It's it's kind of like this weird French anime looking thing. People walk up, what is it? We talk to them, and first of all, they all kind of like the size because everyone in the South has a monster pickup truck, and they're kind of bummed out about it because they're just enormous. And then they're looking, they're thinking, how's the range? And then you go blah blah blah. Also, 835 horsepower. Your truck your Raptor makes 410 or whatever it makes, 450. This is 835, and they're just like, what? And you could see their minds changing in front of you, wow, that's cool. You know?
Yep.
And then you pull the camp stove, or the kitchen out of the side.
The $5,000 optional induction range with a sink.
Powered sink. You can power off your dirty dishes. It's brilliant.
Yeah. But that isn't why we picked our truck of the year. We invited. Oh boy, it was actually a fairly large field this year.
Yeah, Maverick was right there. We had the Hummer. We had the new Toyota.
We had Nissan. We had the Nissan Frontier. We had Ranger, Tremor. A bunch of traditional. We had Raptor. We had a bunch of traditional gasoline-powered pickup trucks, along with the only other EV was the Hummer EV truck. And it really I don't think it was close, right? Blew everybody away.
I think the Maverick had a good showing. And remember, there's that hybrid Maverick, 42 miles a gallon, and it's really, really good vehicle. So hats off to Ford. But yeah, the Rivian is just next level thing. Here's how good it is. Tesla just announced if they ever make it, the Cybertruck is going to be 4 motors because I'm sure they got one of the first ones. And in fact, I remember Rivian telling me, we know Tesla bought one because we know where they're going. And they're like, oh man, this is game changing.
Yep.
You got to have those 4 motors.
And I'll tell you, the one thing I was very interested in is that Rivian is focusing so much on the off-road performance of this truck. And I'm like, from what I understand about the truck market and talking to a lot of people, a lot of people don't go off-road. And it is so good on-road.
It's so good on-road.
And it's like, you guys, they are, what do they call them, air haulers?
Yeah.
Like, a lot of truck owners never put anything in the bed, never tow anything with it, never take it off-road. Or if it's off-road, it's on a fire road.
It's a lifestyle vehicle.
Yes.
And I will say, the other amazing thing to me about that truck was that, there's like an economy mode, and what that one does is actually like declutches the rear motors. So you're just in a front-wheel drive vehicle, still 410 horsepower, by the way, in front-wheel drive only. And it's fine to drive. Sure. Like it was, a lot of times if you put a gasoline-powered car in an eco mode, it's just, there's no throttle response. And this was killer,
Right.
So they did really clever, savvy engineering on again, they didn't focus on efficiency. They're not building their own battery packs. They're not, spinning their own motors up the way Lucid is. But I think they were innovative in a different way.
Right.
They didn't make the Model S Part 2. They made something the world had never seen before.
Right.
And I think part of the duty of awarding an Of the Year award is like recognizing that.
Yep. A high water, we try to award a high water mark for the industry.
Mm-hmm.
It's worth noting for those who might be sort of not familiar with it. It is not every car under the sun every year that we look at. So I'm sorry your Corvette didn't win. Corvette isn't new this year.
New. Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
It is only the vehicle in their launch year, their very first model
or
year.
if they've been significantly updated.
Yep.
We tend to, that means like a new powertrain, new transmission and engine,
right?
Something like that. So yeah. But yeah, it was. I think we did well. And again, Genesis. I wish we would have known a little bit about this, but like they have a GV70,
and we can give them a shout out because their vehicle, honestly, was probably the biggest win. It is the toughest segment in terms of overall number of competitors. SUV was huge.
SUVs have taken over the world.
Right. Yeah. So there was
it's a dominant species.
In our 2022 SUV of the Year competition. There were many more competitors in either car or truck, and honestly, once people got into that vehicle and drove it, it was like, this is it. This is why are we doing it? Why are we doing this? Like, this one is so much better.
And now you can have it as an EV, which is a great segue into our guest, who I just got the sign that he showed up. So we're going to talk to Mr. Reggie Watts.
Yes.
I'm super excited about this, and I'm super excited about the InEVitable show.
Me too. Can't wait to chat with him, and hope you guys all enjoy our interview with Reggie.
Hi, Reggie. Very exciting to have you here.
Thanks.
Before we get started, Ed has actually prepared a dossier on you.
Ooh.
This is like
nice.
opposition research. But I want to start by saying that he's got a 1-year-old, so he has no idea what I'm about to say. I have a 4-year-old. You're on Storybots.
Yes.
You did the DNA episode.
Yes,
I've seen that 7,000 times.
Oh my gosh! Yeah. I know. It's funny now, just starting to hear from all my friends that have kids. They're like, "Oh, you're on Story." It's kind of cool.
It's the best. It's the best kids show. It's incredible.
Well, how about for the people who don't know what it is?
It's like an educational show, but it's actually like really well done. Really, actually good music.
Yeah.
And you talk about, you did the DNA episode where the bots ask why do people look different?
Yes.
The title of it,
which is such a great. What a great thing for kids to learn about.
Yeah.
I've just popped in for my one bit, but everybody that runs the show, they're all like kind of music nerds. And they love they have really good taste in music, and they just wanted, they had kids and they had like an idea to make a really cool show.
Yeah.
That was based off of their idea of what a kid show should be, which I think is Storybots, at least from all my Gen X friends, are all just like, it's a dope show, and I'm like, okay, good.
It's a show you could actually watch. Like Snoop Dogg's on it. I mean, it's great.
Yeah.
It's like all these people you grew up with, and now they're doing this good kid show. And again, the music's actually decent. Where most kid show music's like this horrible, never-ending earworm of death.
Yeah. Glockenspiel City.
I love that. That's how we're starting this interview.
I have to.
We were. I was just like, when they said Reggie's going to be a guest, I was like, I don't really watch The Late Show. I'm kind of familiar.
Who does?
Oh boy.
Well, this is me.
No. I don't watch it. I don't watch it. I mean, I'm there on tapes, but I don't watch
exactly.
it.
Yeah, but I pass out on the couch every night at 9:25. And a kid wakes me up. But we do watch on the weekends. We watch TV, and Storybots he's obsessed with. And
I'm so excited.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Well, we are here with Reggie Watts, who is on The Late Show with James Corden.
Yeah, The Late Late Show.
The Late Late Show. actor, comedian, musician,
Beatboxer,
storybots, VO, great hair.
Does look like Jerry Seinfeld.
Yes,
Does look like...
Hi, guys. This is my Jerry Seinfeld impression. Hello.
That's pretty good.
Very good.
Pretty good.
Very good.
I'm on a podcast with him, so I
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is what he sounds like. That's not at all. Not even close.
It's close. He's more like
Yeah,
I
he
can't
does
do it.
that. I know.
I can't do it.
It's
No,
impossible.
I'm being conscious of it.
I really can't, but I've gotten that before. Yes.
So, why are you here with us? Is that you're also a huge, and I'm going to say huge because I did a lot of research, and I think you're a huge.
Look at this is all you.
You're a huge car guy.
Yes,
you're a huge car fan, and
Yes.
you're kind of a stealth car fan. I feel like I kind of dug through your Instagram,
Yes.
and I noticed that you post a lot of random pictures of cars without saying anything about it. You just kind of put it out there, and it's a lot. Some of it's sort of Detroit iron, but there's some foreign cars in there.
Yeah.
They're all kind of vintage, and then you do a lot from your own car, from your personal car.
Yeah.
And I've read some interviews where you've talked about vehicles you've been in. You had a famous moment with Jack Black, apparently.
Oh.
In a Tesla.
Oh, yes. That's right. Yes.
So this is,
true.
and then we heard from the fine folks at PodcastOne that you're also a big Porsche guy, and we're trying to figure this out. You currently own a Taycan
Yes.
Turbo S.
Turbo S, yeah, and 911 C4S 992.
Okay, great.
C4S.
Yeah.
Okay. They had it down as a Turbo S and
Well,
a Turbo S.
I have a Turbo S on the way. It should be here in a few months.
Okay.
And now you want to ask him why you didn't get a GT3.
I'm not going to say anything about that.
No, I actually ordered one. I had an allocation
And?
for a GT3 Touring.
Oh, you got to get the wing. Anyway, that's one.
Yeah, I thought the Touring was stealth. It's like I'm kind of like the guy
is
that
stealth.
it's like I have friends that are like car people, and I don't like a bright look at me sports car because it's like, do you want more sports car on your already sports car? So for me, it's the opposite. I like it being subdued, but like people kind of do a slow double take, and they're like, "What is it? Oh, that's awesome!" Instead of like, "Whoa,"
So is that why you got? And is it? Did you get chalk? What paint did you get in your
For
car?
the Taycan, I got a coffee beige.
That's what it was. I was looking at the picture. I was like, is it chalk or is it
Nice.
coffee beige?
I wasn't sure about it because like when you look at those color palettes online,
Yes.
it's hard to tell really.
You got to see a car in sunlight.
Oh,
That's
my
the real
God.
trick. Sunlight's the only way to look at a car. Everything else is like you don't really see the color.
Not at all. Not even close. This was like the most obscure. Like I couldn't figure it out at all. And I like chalk. Chalk was great, but chalk's also an older color.
Yep.
And so I was saying it to a bunch of my friends, like, what would you think, beige or whatever? And usually I was a white car guy, especially with Tesla when I used to have Teslas. But so I got the beige, and it gets so much attention.
Hang on,
Everybody-
pause for a second. What does white car guy mean? Because to me, so 39% of
I'm a white car.
I know.
Yeah.
Hang on.
Yeah.
We're all Porsche owners here. We'll get to that in a minute. But BASF told me 39% of new cars globally are white. So to me, it's like. Anyways, why? What's attractive about white cars?
Well, for me in California, you got smog, you get that air pollution, and you got heat. And so for me, it's heat rejection,
Right.
And keep the car cooler, better for the paint, all that stuff. And also, it's an electric car, so you want to keep it cool, anyways. And then on top of that, it stays clean. It looks clean.
Yes, that's actually. I'm lazy,
Yeah.
and white cars hide the dirt.
I'm taking notes about the
Oh,
heat
definitely.
thing.
Black cars are the worst.
Oh yeah, there's water spots, dust, everything.
Doesn't
Every
matter.
other color is relatively cool, but
Yeah.
All right, now, so you own a very sporty gasoline-powered car and a very sporty electric car.
Yes.
How do you feel about both? How do you feel about either? How do they compare? How do they contrast?
Well, I mean, I had a Tesla. I think the first car I had here in LA was a Tesla P85, and then got a P100 later. But it's like I wanted. Well, Porsche was a brand that I'd always, growing up in the '80s. You guys would know about this. This is way before your time. But in the '80s,
I think he's older than you.
No. We are all within 5 years. Age of
I think so. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
fair
yeah.
enough, fair enough.
Gen X forever, man.
That's right.
I'm
Ed's
the only
younger than
gen
me,
that
but-
matters. No, but yeah. So like I guess I was interested in Porsche, but in the '80s it was always represented as like the asshole in a teen comedy. Like always drove a Porsche. So Porsche had this kind of like douchebag kind of vibe to it that I held on through all the way through the 90s. And then everyone was always like, Porsche, there's no substitution. Porsche, it's a driver's car. I was like, could you guys shut up about driver's car? What does that even mean? Right. And then I drove I ordered a Porsche because I got a gig and I was interested in the 992 because of the technology. Like I was really going deep on like, oh, what do they do for design? This is a whole new generation, blah, blah, blah. I was like, I really want to dig it. And one of my friends has a Cayman. One of the guys, one of the producers at the show. So got it, and I purposefully did not drive a Porsche until I got that 911. Then I got it, and it just blew me away. I understood immediately. I was like, oh, I can feel the texture of the road through the wheel. Which was insane to even think about, and every move I made, it just felt like I was the car. And then I got it. I was like, oh, this is cyborg. This is like,
and this is your Carrera 4S.
That's the Carrera 4, C4S. So that was my first Porsche.
Gotcha. Okay, so you're relatively new to the brand.
I'm pretty new to the brand. Like I've had that one for let's say 2 years, and then of course the Taycan came around, and I just told myself if I get a good gig, if I get a sweet gig, I'll get a Taycan Turbo S because I don't want to do the lower end. I got the C4S because I was like, oh, well, that's because the way I spec'd it almost is the price of a Turbo S anyways. But,
right. Well, just wait till you spec your Turbo S.
Oh, my God. Well, it's, it's done. It's on its way.
Okay,
But I was like, oh, I'll do the C4S because everyone was like, no, it's a great car. And most people are like, it's more car than you need anyways.
Definitely.
C4S.
But you need the turbo. I would say, like, don't listen to anyone.
Yeah, I know.
But let's pause here for a second because, okay, so you previously, when you first came to LA, you had a 2015 P85 Tesla Model S P85.
That's correct.
Okay, and then you subsequently moved on to 100.
Yeah.
Any other EVs of note or vehicles of note prior to that? You grew up in Montana.
I had a TTRS.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
Before that. Yeah.
Okay.
So, I had the TTRS in conjunction with so I always had a gas car and an electric car.
Okay.
But my electric car is the primary driver.
Right,
okay.
Right. TTRS, for those listening, that's a cool 5-cylinder turbocharged Audi. Fun car. I always call it like my first supercar.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of what it was for me too. Yeah.
Right.
It was a big,
okay.
right.
So then, all right. So we talked through the 992. Now, tell us, because I assume you enjoyed your time with Tesla. You really like the Model S. What's the difference moving into Porsche and then into Taycan in particular?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I love the S because I love the autopilot. I was probably, one of the idiots that used it 70% of the time, even back then. I just loved it. I love that idea of being on the road and being able to not be focused constantly, like on a bumper-to-bumper stop-and-go Beverly Boulevard drive from work or whatever. Yep. Aside from stoplights, which it did not recognize, it held the road really well. So I really enjoyed that. So then going to the Taycan, it doesn't have that. It has InEVitable. I got InEVitable. It does some steering, but it's mostly just keep your hands on the wheel just to relax the drive. But I will say the feeling between both of those cars, one, the Tesla feels like a souped up golf cart. Like it goes really fast. But it doesn't. There's no feeling to it. There's no connection to the road, really. It's just it's more like it feels digital, like you're a video game character in the real world. And the Taycan feels like it's like a mountain goat. It feels planted to the ground. Again, you get that road tactility, that feeling through the wheels all the way through the steering wheel. Same steering wheel as the 992, which is to me the perfect size.
They were smart to do that.
Oh my gosh. And everything, and it just feels like a precision. It's like a scalpel, as opposed. And I know that the Plaid or whatever is ridiculous, and but it's still not a driver's car. The Plaid to me is not really a driver's car. They're catching up. They're like, oh, what else do drivers like? Oh, I guess we'll add these carbon ceramics. Oh, what else do drivers like? They're thinking that way.
Right.
Reverse engineered almost.
Yes, exactly. It's reverse engineered. Whereas Porsche is just like, listen, our infotainment system will be very confusing and it won't be as fast, and but the most important part, the driving.
Porsche vibe.
As a Porsche, the driving.
Skirt! If you like what you hear and you want to keep listening, hop on over to MotorTrend's The InEVitable for the remainder of this first episode and the remaining episodes to come. Like I said, they have an amazing list for this first season. They have Sung Kang from the Fast and the Furious franchise. They have James Marsden, Cyclops, or Teddy from Westworld. The Steve Austin Show classics will resume later this week with Dave Milliken, the Ace of Belts, and John Cena.